Murdle's ASMR. Today I'm going to do a hard candy mouse sounds video. You all seem to like those videos a lot, so I'm going to keep those going. I'm also going to work on one of these Murdle puzzles while I'm sucking on the hard candy. So it'll be, kind of a whisper ramble with the hard candy mouse sounds. So I'm hoping you guys enjoy the video. I'll jump right into it and get one of these Werthers in my mouth. I truly love these so much. Very addicting. I went with the sugar-free option to try to make it somewhat healthier, I guess. Okay, so I've recently moved on to the third level of difficulty with these Murdles. As a quick kind of overview for anyone that hasn't seen the previous Murdle videos, these are a bunch of logic puzzles I have to try to solve, kind of rule out certain scenarios. And the first 25 or so were difficulty 1. The next 25 were difficulty 2. The next 25 were difficulty 3. It's kind of signified by these little magnifying glasses here. And I'm not gonna lie, I've struggled. This is one I started the other day. This is the first one. I didn't actually complete it, but I'm hoping. And just for the sake of this, I'm starting a whole new one so we can walk through it together. But I'm hoping we can get these solved. So, just so you can see, previously, there was only 3 boxes we were working through. But with the added difficulty, there's now 3 extra boxes to work on, because they've included motives now. So previously, we were only doing suspects, weapons, and locations. But now that there's motives, it makes this a little bit more difficult. So let's see if we can do this. I'll return to the Institute. Deductive Logico headed back to the Investigation Institute to find that the grounds were overgrown with weeds. With Iridino gone, nobody was taking care of the place, and it seemed quiet, too quiet. Logico realized that was because the only guard had been murdered. Okay, so here are our suspects. Numerologist Knight, 5'9", left-handed, blue eyes, dark brown hair, Pisces. We have High Alchemist Raven, 5'8", right-handed, light brown eyes, dark brown hair, Pisces. Herbalist Onyx, 5 feet tall, right-handed, dark brown eyes, black hair, Virgo. Philologist Flint, 5'2", left-handed, green eyes, blonde hair, Aquarius. I didn't read through who they are, but I can. Numerologist Knight is a mathematical and esoteric prodigy. Not only do they know the value of V, they know the meaning of V. High Alchemist Raven. There's an old joke that all alchemists are high alchemists. Raven hates it. Herbalist Onyx. In her greenhouse, she's grown every kind of plant required in the culinary magic and poisoning arts. Philologist Flint. You can learn a lot about a word from its etymology, like where it came from and what it used to mean. Okay, now we have our locations. The Grand Chateau, indoors. The tree growing in the middle has started to wilt and die. tunnels, caves, and loop-de-loops, but no one wants to play. An impossible hedge maze outdoors. People have to be rescued from the hedge maze all the time. Here are the weapons. A dowsing rod, medium weight and made of wood. You can find water, oil, and suckers with this. A hypnotic pocket watch, lightweight, made of metal. If you look deeply into this watch, you can tell the time. A quasi-perpetual motion machine, heavyweight, made of metal. It doesn't run forever. This one made it a day. A crystal ball, heavyweight, made of crystal. If you look into it, you will see your fortune. So long as your fortune is a crystal ball. Okay. A new element here. Motives. To prove they're tough. To inherit a fortune. To fight for love. Because they could. So now we have to figure out who, what, where, and why. And we have our clues and evidence here. Now remember, if we can't narrow down as much as we would like and get the answer, there are hints in the back of the book. So, let's start. The shortest suspect brought a dowsing rod to reach things. So, we know the shortest suspect brought the dowsing rod. The shortest suspect was Herbalist Onyx, 5 feet. So we know Herbalist Onyx has a dowsing rod. So, Herbalist Onyx has the hat, and the dowsing rod is this symbol, so we can do this here. And we know that because Herbalist Onyx had the dowsing rod, these other suspects couldn't possibly have that. And we know that Herbalist Onyx couldn't possibly have had any of the other weapons. So, we're good on this. High Alchemist Raven was seen hanging around high above the grounds. So that probably means if High Alchemist Raven was high above the grounds, they were probably at the Great Tower, because it's a towering tower and specifically built to drop things. Grand Chateau, Golf Course, Impossible Hedge Maze. Those aren't very high places, so I believe that High Alchemist Raven was at the Great Tower. So, High Alchemist Raven is indicated by this symbol, and the Great Tower is that little kind of rook chess piece looking thing. So, we can put a circle here. Now we know because High Alchemist Raven was at the tower, they couldn't have been at any other locations. And that means none of the other suspects up here could have been at that same location, correct? So we have that now. Let me get another one of these Werthers. Let me know if you guys are, if you all are butterscotch fans or not. I think it's a fantastic flavor. I love butterscotch. Okay. So we've got these two down. The suspect with the quasi-perpetual motion machine deeply desired to fight for love. So, we don't have the answer to this yet because we don't know what suspect had the perpetual motion machine, and we don't know who wanted to fight for love. If we learn either of those things later, we'll be able to come back and narrow down more. No one with blue eyes was in the Grand Chateau. So let's see. Who had blue eyes? Numerologist Knight was the only person with blue eyes, so no one with blue eyes was in the Grand Chateau. So that means Numerologist Knight could not have been in the Grand Chateau. The person with the blue eyes. No one with blue eyes was in the Grand Chateau. Numerologist Knight, the Grand Chateau. There's this little thing, so locations. This is the Grand Chateau, so this doesn't help us a ton, but we at least know that Numerologist Knight was not here. We can't narrow anything else down from that, but at least we have that info. A fortune-telling tool was found beside a tiny windmill. Okay. We know a crystal ball out the crystal ball being at any other location. And we can cancel out any other weapons being at the same location. Okay. We've got that. The suspect who would kill because they could was in the Grand Chateau. Okay, once again, Murdle, we don't know who was in the Grand Chateau, and we don't know which suspect wanted to kill because they could. Once we get some of the information, we'll be able to narrow this down further. The Aquarius wanted to inherit a fortune, so we've got the motive for whoever the Aquarius was. Philologist Flint was the Aquarius, so inherit a fortune. Philologist Flint, motive was to inherit a fortune, so we can confidently say none of the other motives could have been Philologist Flint's. And we know none of the other suspects could have had that same motive because we know it's only one of each for each suspect. We've got that. So the suspect with a time-telling device did not want to prove that they're tough. So, again, we don't have enough information here. The suspect with a time-telling device did not want to prove they're tough. Once we get more information, we'll be able to figure this out. So, here's where it starts to get a little tricky. We have to look at maybe what we have here so far and figure out what else we can rule out. So, we know Numerologist Knight, or that's High Alchemist Raven, was here. We know that they couldn't have had. That doesn't make sense. Man, these have gotten tough, I'm telling you. The guard's body was found between twisting hedgerows, so we know where the murder took place at least. It was at the maze. It's in the maze. We can just write that there. What else can we deduce from the information that we have? Oh, you know what? I was wrong earlier. I'm sorry. So the suspect with the quasi-perpetual motion machine deeply desired to fight for love. Oh, wait. No, I wasn't. I made myself confused. Well, what we do know, though, is that because Herbalist Onyx did not have the quasi-perpetual motion machine, that was not their motive. Because the person with the quasi-perpetual motion machine, that was their motive, so we can at least rule out that motive for Herbalist Onyx, if that makes sense. The suspect with a time-telling device did not want to prove they're tough. So, again, we know that Herbalist Onyx had the dowsing rod. So, the suspect with a time-telling device did not want to prove that they were tough. So, if they didn't want to prove that they were tough, which is this one, the only other possibility is because they could. Whoops. Which means did not want to prove they're tough. Okay, so that means that to prove that they're tough, we've narrowed it down. It has to be Philologist or Herbalist Onyx, because whoever had the time-telling device did not want to prove that they time-telling device. Yeah, this is correct. I hope. Because if they wanted to prove that they were tough, we would have put an X here, and then the last one would have had, okay, I think we've got this here. Okay, we've narrowed it down a little bit, at least for motives. So, let me get another one of these Werthers. The suspect who would kill because they could was in the Grand Chateau. Having trouble narrowing this down. Well, we know Herbalist Onyx at the dowsing machine.